Good morning.
Good morning.
Did I scare you?
Yes.
I scared you? Oh.
Yes, it was a violent act.
Do you think, was it toxic? No, excuse me.
No.
I almost broke our cardinal rule.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to TMG, the Mac Group. And if you need to log into the local Wi-Fi, that's the password and the login. And if you don't need to, everybody that needs it's got it, and I can go ahead and bring up my agenda. Oop, wrong one. The other one. There we go. Agenda. So it's December. Yay! Everybody ready for the holidays? Okay, so Guillermo, I don't think we have any new members here today, and I don't think we have any visitors, so we can ditch the welcome, and we'll go on to news. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stare at Rick Cartwright, and I'm going to say encrypted, and let him tell you what not to do.
So next week there's going to be a drop of iOS 16.2, and when that comes out, in your iCloud settings there's going to be a new setting, and it's called Advanced Data Protection. And what that is encryption, so that they will encrypt. They were already encrypting like 15, I don't know how many things, but they had a lot of stuff they encrypted, like your health data, some of that kind of stuff. And now they're going to allow you to encrypt your backups, which will encrypt your iMessages, which will encrypt a whole bunch of other stuff. So, which is really good. I encourage encryption. I'm excited about encryption. The challenge is, if you go in and turn this on as soon as you get it, if you forget your password someday for whatever reason, you are locked out and nobody can help you. Apple, today if you call Apple, they can help you get to your data if you get locked out. But after this happens, they won't be able to help you. You are locked out. So there's a procedure you want to go through when you do that. We're not going to talk about that today. It's too long. You want to make sure you have that capability protected. So, when you go to turn that on, turn on with caution. That's all I'm encouraging you to do until we have a chance to talk.
So we can download the update.
Well, you can download the update. It's automatic. The default mode is off.
Default.
You have to go in and turn it on. You have to take an action to make it happen.
And it's in iCloud.
It's in iCloud. It's in the iCloud section of settings. And it's at the very bottom, and it's called Advanced Data Protection, and it will stay off when you get it.
Okay.
And if you want to turn it on, you can. Just don't forget your password.
Okay.
Is it a
So
separate
the way I
password
would
from
put it,
iCloud?
Yeah.
No, it's the one to
Is
log in your phone. It's your
leave it
password.
off until we give you the whole
Okay.
shopping list of stuff you should do.
It's just a few little things you should do for
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay.
Now,
talked about
the next item I had was to announce that somebody had left a notebook last month,
Oh.
but that person already came up and I took that, so. Just a thought, Pat, it's like at the newspaper, you put your name and your cubicle number and all that stuff, so we know who it belongs to.
Yeah,
Okay.
well said. I'll do it right now.
Because I don't know if you remember, but we used to have to do that with our lunches when we put them in the fridge because people would, not naming names, people would take lunches. Just a snarky comment. Journalist is a euphemism for working poor,
True.
and it's becoming more and more true as time goes on. Okay, let's see, other news items. Apple is starting, they've got the contract signed and construction started a while ago to start doing iPhone manufacturing in India, the Republic of India. So I think they've learned their lesson that if you just rely on manufacturing in the Pacific Rim, or specifically mainland China, you might have supply issue problems. And let's see, I'm trying to go, what else is out there? There was a group of companies that would traded on the stock market that would have been referred to as the FANGs: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, and Google. The only one that seems to be doing okay is Apple. The rest of them are still having issues. Okay, so with that said, does anybody else have any items that they want to add to news items? Be computer related or club related or going once, going twice? Okay, I say we're done with news. Next, Dan, it's your turn. And we're going to do our HomeKit Minute.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hats and cats, I bring you, just in time for Christmas, the Ross Smart Wi-Fi Outdoor Plug. This is just an empty box because I've got two of these working with my Christmas lights, and these, it's a typical 15 amp outlet that works off of your 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, only 2.4 gigahertz. So, but that's your typical Wi-Fi network for your HomeKit devices anyway. But it's waterproof to IP44, meaning that you can leave it outdoors, but you can't like put it into a pond or some kind of you can't submerge it in water, but it's water resistant, let's put it
How
that way.
about a snowbank? If you got the snow is up?
They just say that you can't submerge it, so,
Okay, in liquid water?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
but the nice thing that I found out, I'll pass this box around, but the nice thing I found out about these, it has two outlets on it, and you can control each outlet independently. So it's not like it's always on, always off. You can have one on, one off, vice versa. And so I've had them up working for several weeks now with my Christmas lights, and it works pretty well. So I got this one off of Amazon. It's a Ross MSS 620. I'll pass the box around, but very, very handy, and saves me having to venture out into the rain or snow to turn on the Christmas lights. So, any questions?
I have a question. So if it's HomeKit compatible, it doesn't matter what manufacturer it is, as long as it's HomeKit compatible, I can use the HomeKit to control it. So I don't have to be locked into one manufacturer for my plugs or my outlets or my whatever.
Right, yeah. So as long as they've got the little logo, that's means that they have their own app that you have to download to set it up, but then it automatically adds this to HomeKit. And then in HomeKit you can automate it and set up any scenes.
Okay.
So if you only want lights on, certain lights off at a different time, you can set that up in the HomeKit app.
Mhm.
So, any other questions?
There you go. There's your receipt.
Online? No? All right. I'll pass this around.
And that was your HomeKit Minute. Next one, freebies or wanted for sale. We have a freebie on the table over there. It's a high quality Sony cassette player. And it's got 2 cassette bays, and it's got that high-speed duplication feature that you really want in a tape cassette. Okay, just not to mention it's also Sony and high quality, high
get it.
fidelity.
We get it.
And it's going for the wonderful price of free.
Free.
Okay. Does anybody have anything that they're looking for here or in Zoom land? Going once, going twice? Okay, we're good? Okay. So the next thing would be help desk. I'm going to keep standing here. We got anybody? Okay, wait, I'm looking, I don't see anybody. Okay, back row. Okay. This isn't about Dan, is it?
No, it's not about Dan.
Okay.
Is Ventura okay? I sit and I look at it and I know I should be downloading it. I just want to know if it's okay because
Ventura.
you scared me to death with that
Ventura.
passkey business. What?
Ventura.
Ventura.
Yeah, from a stability standpoint,
Okay.
it's okay. The thing that I would say to you is wait until after the holidays because they moved everything around
On Ventura.
on Ventura. There's all sorts of menus that have been changed, and you go into something like system preferences, and it's entirely different now, where they've moved everything. So what I decided to do after moving one machine to Ventura, I've left everything else, all the other machines alone. I'll do it after the holidays when I have time to actually learn where stuff is.
Well, you're just kind of scaring me to death that I'm going to have to relearn Apple, so. I mean,
It's mostly in settings. I mean,
It's mostly what?
System
mostly in
preferences.
settings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Your programs will
your
work
programs
the
are all going
same.
to be the same.
Oh, okay.
It's just inside of system stuff where you may run into that. And if you're not in there a lot, you probably won't see it a lot.
Okay. All right, but I can download it and not worry about that passkey business yet, right?
No, you don't. That's in the background. You won't even notice it
Okay.
for a
All right.
long time.
All
Probably
right,
a year or
thank
two.
you.
Okay, good question. Anybody else? Going once, going twice.
Teresa.
Oh, great.
I upgraded my
Rick.
phone
Rick,
to
hold
the
on.
latest thing, and it was overnight, you know how it does.
Mhm.
And I got up in the morning and it started telling me about stuff I bought in 2014.
You want to look at it?
It's that's how much I can explain it. It's
Okay,
it just makes no sense.
okay. It sounds like maybe notifications have gotten stopped at some point. So are we talking about emails coming in? Or are we talking notifications coming in?
Notifications, receipts of things that I bought, you know,
Okay,
5 years ago.
typically receipts are emailed to you, and then you get a notification that it's come in. So it could be that it just refreshed some accounts that weren't showing all the stuff, reloaded them.
All right.
So
What's
you
that?
just delete?
Yeah, right. This I want to do.
Okay. So,
Follow-up question.
yeah,
How do you turn off notifications? I find them just
are we talking
irritating.
about notifications on the Mac or notifications on the iPhone and
On the iMac.
On the iMac.
It'll be all right.
The easiest way to do it is you go into your
If you want to do
settings,
that,
okay, and you look for the notifications icon, click on that, and then you turn it off right there. And I agree with you. I find notifications to be extremely annoying. I turn it off on Android, which is Google. I turn it off on Windows, which is Microsoft, and I turn it off on Apple. 'Cause I really don't need to have every email coming in popping up telling me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I have enough
Well,
trouble keeping focused as it
It
is.
generally disappears so fast that I don't get the notification anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you, but that's how you do it. And if you want, what I'll do is later on, I'll send you a screenshot that shows you.
Oh, I think I can do it from what you said.
So you go into what first?
System settings,
System set, okay.
which in Ventura is called,
System settings.
System settings, yeah. It used to be
used
preferences.
to be system preferences. See, that's
Now it's
already
settings.
warped my mind that I
Now it's
can't see.
settings.
Yeah. The door is not locked. So I'm gonna let that go. Doorbell's ringing. Okay, who else did we have? Oh, I was gonna say, Ray, I'm doing the presentation today, but if you want, we can talk on the phone later on or get together next week before the holidays get crazy. Because it's one of those things, you know, you got the phone in front of you, I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at, we can figure out what's going on. Okay, anybody out in Zoom land have a help desk question?
Barbara?
Unmute.
Okay, who we got?
Barb?
Go ahead, Barb.
Still can't hear.
Was that Barb Graff?
Yeah.
Okay.
He talks about it, can't hear.
Going once, going twice.
Does she need to unmute?
Well, she's not muted.
No. Can she not hear us?
I don't know if she doesn't have her audio turned on or.
Okay, we're going to wait just a little bit, and
He says, I can.
so now I'm going to say, let Barb know that she can give me a call later on in the day. With help desk questions, would it be helpful to people if we kept like a little digest of help desk questions and what the response was?
Sort of like a frequently asked question.
Yeah, sort of like that. But that's what it would turn into eventually. But, you know, just in the beginning when you just have a couple things. for
As
the
long as you don't
membership.
ask me to review it afterwards. I don't want to have to review that afterwards. Like,
Okay.
how did you do, you know, 5 stars and tell me more and all that.
I thought you were gonna log it all.
Oh, but then, as a vendor, we wouldn't send you the little card in the product that says, if you give us a 5-star review for our crap product, you know, we'll
Yeah.
rescind your price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evaluate.
No, you don't have to review.
Thank you.
Okay, though, I was talking to a guy that I knew from when I was with Cox, Clark Howard, and he does that Clark Stinks segment, and it really does up his game.
Yeah, of course
So,
it does.
you know, I'm thinking, I don't want to do a Bill Stinks, because then, you know, he might sue me for, you know, violating copyright or whatever, but, you know, if there's ever anything, well, I don't have to say that. I usually get a fairly spriteful response from my audiences if I get something
Bill?
not quite right.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
Barb wanted to know, I don't think the mic is working for me. Is a SIM card for a 4G phone the same as a SIM card for a 5G phone?
Yes.
And she said she was gonna send you that question too.
At least with AT&T it is. But you still, it may or may not work, but mine was the same SIM card. If she emails me, I can give her.
Newer
Okay.
phones have that eSIM too.
That's what I was gonna say, there's more to it because of the eSIM thing, but I
Okay.
don't think I wanna get into that here.
Okay, so we got Barb. at
If she
least
emails me,
Barb
I'll
out. And we
talk
got
to her.
Rod by,
I'd be happy to help her.
I guess I'll ask a personal question for the help desk.
sure.
I have an iMac 20, the biggest screen there.
Yeah, 27-inch.
27-inch. Purchased in 2013, 2014. You loaded the operating system
Yeah.
of El Capitan on it.
Yeah.
So that's what it has.
Yeah.
I don't know how many generations back that goes.
Yeah,
My wife and I look at it, and you know the problem that I had with the mail shutting down.
yeah, yeah.
On mine. It's either upgrade the operating system or get a new computer.
The
That's our
only way
that's
to
our
know,
Christmas present.
the only way to know is if I visited you, either, you know, spiritually via FaceTime, Zoom, or physically.
Okay?
And so think about what your comfort level is, okay? They having somebody over at the house. And you got my phone number, right?
Correct?
Okay, you just rattle my cage.
It'll be after Christmas, but we decided that we were either going to upgrade it or get a new computer.
Okay, general rule right now is when people go to upgrade a desktop machine, and an iMac is considered to be a desktop machine,
Right.
I always bring up the thing of, do you really want a desktop or would you rather go with a portable notebook laptop? Okay, and very often they go, yeah, you know, actually that would make more sense, especially if they've downsized. If they say, no, I really want that desktop, for the iMacs, I'm waiting for that new Apple iMac with the M2 processor to come out. And it's not going to be until next year sometime. You know, so basically my response to the spirit of your question would be, let's do the remediation of current equipment first, see if we can get it working so that it's not aggravating or frustrating you. And then, once we got you in that state, then you're in a good place to wait until they come out with that next thing. Okay? All right, does that work for you?
That year iMac also was not compatible with Ventura. You can't upgrade to Ventura.
That is correct. That is
Monterey
correct.
would be the highest.
So they've already got a limitation.
Yeah. So we can take you up, well, El Capitan, we can take you up from El Capitan, and that'll get you in a better place. I'll just put it that way. Okay?
It'll be after Christmas, and I'll just give you a call.
Yeah.
Peace.
Okay, email, call, whatever. Okay, otherwise, I'll put it on my tickle file and I'll start annoying Ann. You know, I'll say, hey, you see? Okay, did you forget my number? Okay, let's see, what else have we got? We took care of Barb, we took care of Rod, we told Ray that there's no hope. I think we're at the raffle now. So I'm going to sit down, you guys do the raffle part. Yeah. We're going to reconvene, please. Okay, so I'm going to start up the presentation. Just to give you sort of a set the scene. These are small programs. These are programs that have brought joy into my life. They've made my life easier. They've solved problems that I have. So keeping that in mind, my problems may not be your problems. And if you like this, or if you have a digital problem that you can't seem to find a solution for software-wise, maybe, this would spark out something that we do further on down the road where we look up for solutions for people. So with that said, let me get this started up here. Some of my favorite apps that you probably have never seen. Okay, so the list, App Cleaner.
Yeah, can you move it over around?
Okay, I see what's going on. Okay, one sec here. Okay, so the first 5 are utilities, small utilities that meet a particular need for me. The last 3 are larger programs that I could do an entire presentation on. So with that said, the first one is App Cleaner, and the company that provides it is freemacsoft.net, then Mac Fan Control from chrysalisid.com, maintenance from titaniumsoftware.fr, so it's French, Mac Tracker, which you can get from the Apple App Store, Machine Profile, which is also available from the Apple App Store, Microsoft Edge, Apple App Stores, and there's a proviso with that. When I go in detail, you can cover that. Calibre, not Caliber, but Calibre, which is from calibre-ebook.com. And last but not least, Music Brains Picard from musicbrains.org. Okay, so first one, App Cleaner from freemacsoft.net. And just a reminder, you get a copy of the presentation that gets emailed to you. So, if you want to take notes, that's fine. If you don't, you'll be able to look at the presentation. It's a free program, and it supports Mac OS from 10.6, which was Snow Leopard, all the way through Mac OS 13 Ventura. And they have different versions for the different operating systems. Okay, so what does it do? This is the one that I showed last month, so somebody just had a question and helped us. It's a small program, about 5 megabytes, that allows you to thoroughly uninstall programs. Now, if it's something that you bought from the Apple App Store, it's very easy to uninstall those because they don't put any other dependencies on your machine. It's all contained in the application. But if it's a third-party program from, let's say, Google, or it's from Microsoft, or it's from Amazon, or it's from some other software provider like Adobe, they'll put pieces all over the place on your computer. Using App Cleaner, you can get all of those files removed from your program. All you do is just drag the application onto the screen of App Cleaner. It looks for the stuff, shows you what it found, and then you just click delete. So it's a drag and drop, and then you can delete the program. Since I test software all the time, I'm installing and then wanting to uninstall stuff all the time. And this just made it so much easier in my life. Okay, the next one is Mac fan control.
With Clean My Mac X.
Say that again, please.
Yeah, you can,
He asked how it compares to Clean My Mac X.
there is an uninstall in Clean My Mac.
Yeah, they're comparable,
Okay,
but the thing is, many people don't pay for the paid version of Clean My Mac. They're using the trial version, and there's a limitation on what that will do. Okay, again, App Cleaner is free, and it does pretty much the same job that Clean My Mac would. If you've got the MacPaw program, just use the MacPaw program. You don't need both. With me, I'm working on other people's machines all the time, and I've only got, you know, a 3-seat license for the MacPaw programs. So I've got more than 3 computers. So this is a tool that saves me a lot of time and effort.
do you have to be careful about, I mean, if you uninstall one, you can't uninstall one you're using.
Well, what's nice about Clean My App Cleaner is when you're doing from, I think, about Big Sur on, it won't let you uninstall any of the programs that Apple doesn't want uninstalled. So, and it only is going to remove the stuff that's associated with that one program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it's, I don't want to say it's idiot-proof because idiots are unbelievably inventive. But we'll just say that normal people can use it safely.
Okay.
Okay. All right, moving forward. Mac Fan Control from ChrysalisID.com. It's a free program, and they have versions that support Snow Leopard all the way through macOS 13 Ventura. They also have a paid pro version that's coming soon, but right now it's freebie only. The problem you run into on Macintosh computers, especially the iMacs and the MacBooks, is that as you put a newer operating system on it, it'll stress the machine more and more and generate more heat. But the Mac operating system doesn't necessarily pay attention to that. So what Mac Fan Control does, you install it, it then allows you to set what temperatures you actually want the various pieces of the Mac to get to. Since I use legacy equipment that has optical drives in it, and I still burn CDs and DVDs, when those things are running, they generate a lot more heat. Mac Fan Control, actually, you can set it to watch the temperature around that optical drive, and it'll increase the fans to keep it cool. So let me go down there. So controlling the fans on your Apple computers, real-time monitoring of the fan speeds and the temperature. Let's say you're going to be in a Zoom call and you don't want the fans going full blast. You can tell it, hey, throttle them down, and then after the Zoom call, you can set them back to normal. Real-time monitoring of those fan speeds and temperature, solve overheating problems, usually found on MacBook Pros. Another thing, if you replace a hard drive in an iMac, there's a temperature sensor, if it's a physical hard drive, that would monitor the temperature of the hard drive. Well, most people, when they replace it with like an SSD or something like that, they don't replace the sensor. And so the Mac doesn't really know what's going on. This will allow you to offset that by measuring the temperature of the CPUs or other different parts of the computer. And then it works on all Macs, both Intel and Apple Silicon, but it's been my experience you really don't need to put it on an Apple Silicon Mac because they're so low in terms of power usage, and that's the latest and greatest that Apple has, and those operating systems are customized for those Apple Silicon chips. Okay, any questions? Nope? Okay, moving along. The next one. Okay, this again, if you're somebody who's using Clean My Mac from MacPaw, you don't need this. If you don't, and you want to clean up your machine periodically, this is a great program to do that. It's called Maintenance, and it's from titaniumsoftware.fr. So it's a French operation. This guy's been doing Maintenance Deeper, and Onyx is his other program, since Jaguar days, okay? His current versions only support Mac OS 10.4 Tiger through Mac OS 13 Ventura. And he has a separate version of the maintenance program for each operating system. Okay, and again, it's free. And going back to the description, system maintenance and cleaning utility for performing computer maintenance. It'll run your periodic scripts, it'll rebuild your databases, it'll delete application, font, and system caches, so it'd be like your web browser caches, and much, much more. It's a reliable application, provides a clean interface to do these tasks that otherwise you'd have to be typing in terminal, and it's drop dead simple. You just press the clean, do it. And leave it on the default setting, and you won't get into any trouble. And you will usually see a little bit of a pickup of performance when you've got something that's, an Intel Mac. I haven't really tried them on Apple Silicon machines. Other than running the periodic scripts, the daily, weekly, and monthly cron scripts, and maybe rebuilding it. Okay. You've got system caches and font caches, so it probably would still be an appropriate thing to use maybe once or twice a year. Okay, if you were in a commercial business and these machines are being used 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because you got multiple shifts of people, like a printing house, that sort of thing, then you do it quarterly. But for normal people, once a year, I tend to do it when I replace the batteries on the smoke detectors, once a year. Okay, the next one is a program called Mac Tracker, and you can get that from the Apple App Store. Mac Tracker is available for your Mac, for your phone, and for your iPad. I've put Mac Tracker on every iPhone I've owned, every Mac I've owned, and every iPad I've owned. What does Mac Tracker do? It provides detailed information on every Apple, Macintosh, iPad, iPhone, and iPad ever made, including such things as processor speed, memory, graphic cards, supported OS, the price, the storage, and expansion options. It also includes details on early Apple systems, Newton, Apple TV, Apple Watch, Apple accessories, all of the original Apple line, the Apple, Apple IIe, Apple II Plus, Apple IIc, all of that stuff, I mean, all of the detail specs, Apple digital camera that they made at one point, their scanners, all of the printers that Apple has had, basically anything that had an Apple logo put on it. Why do I have this? I'm supposed to be a source of information about all things Apple to other people. Well, you know what? I can't keep all this stuff in my head anymore. So if somebody calls up and they say, hey, I got a Mac 2 SE, I go to my phone, I tap on Mac Tracker, and then I just let it show me what it says about a Mac Apple IIc. So I'm going to go there, I'm on my phone, and I'm just spinning here. Let's see, Apple Lisa, Apple IIgs, Apple IIc. What did I say? Oh, wait a minute, that would have been a Macintosh. Classic Macintosh. Here we go. Let's see, Macintosh 128, Mac Plus, Mac SE, Mac 2X, Mac SE, Mac 2CX, 2CI. There it is. Macintosh 2 SI, introduced October 1990, discontinued 1993. Initial price $3,800. It's got a 68030 processor, 20 megahertz, 1 core. Oh, you can put a 6882 FPU, floating point unit processor on it, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's the kind of detail I can't keep in my head. But I impress the hell out of people when I say, oh yeah, Mac 2 SI, blah, blah, blah. It's because I put Mac Tracker on my phone. I've got Mac Tracker on all my iPads, and I've got Mac Tracker on this MacBook Pro that's in front of me. So when somebody asks me a question, I can give them actual detailed information. The other reason why I like Mac Tracker is when somebody asks how much RAM can they put into a machine, this is pre-Apple Silicon days, Mac Tracker has the actual upper limit, not the one that Apple said. Because sometimes Apple say, oh, you can only put 8 gig in it. But you actually can put 16 in it, and it works. Okay, so that's why I use Mac Tracker. Next one, Machine Profile. And this is also, you can get it from the Apple App Store. And it's only for Mac, and it supports Mac OS 10.9 Maverick up to Ventura. Okay, what this does, it's a neat little thing. You just launch it on the computer, and it'll show you the technical information about that computer. So in one window, it'll show me the serial number for the Mac, the processor speed, if you're running 64 or 32-bit mode, whether you can run the next Mac OS version, the condition of the battery, if it's got a battery, et cetera, all in one little package. Because, again, just because Mac Tracker says that, a machine can have a 120 gigabyte hard drive or this kind of hard drive, it doesn't mean that the machine that's in front of me has that. People change them, and sometimes they take stuff out, and sometimes they put stuff in. And that way, I can verify exactly what that computer that's in front of me is doing and what it has. Yeah.
But I already have about my Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I already have about this Mac.
This has got a lot more information in a lot easier to read format.
Okay.
Plus, the other thing is you can save it out as a text file or a PDF, and then email it to somebody and say, here, I don't have to read this stuff over.
Gotcha.
Go into the Apple in the upper left-hand corner, go to About My Mac, press the thing that says System Profiler. Okay, tell it to reach, then go down 3 lines, tell me,
Okay, thank you.
we can do better than that.
Okay.
Okay, so those were the 5 utilities that I use. Any questions? Okay. So this started, researching this presentation started me down memory lane, and I remembered some of the other programs I used to use earlier. So there was one of my favorites, was called Schindler's List. Okay? And it wasn't the movie, it was a small application. This is back when we were using floppy disks. I would turn on Schindler's List and it would say insert floppy. It would then catalog what was on that floppy and eject it. Put in the next one, catalog it, eject it. Put in, now I've got a list of what's on all those floppies and it would have the name of the floppy. And anyway, back in the old days, last century. Moving right along. Okay, this one's going to shock people. Microsoft Edge from Microsoft.com. This is a web browser from Microsoft. To install it on a Mac, you have to go to Microsoft.com and download it. To install it on your iPad or your iPhone, you can do that from the App Store. Okay? You may be thinking, wait a minute, this is Bill Herrick, who has been kvetching about Microsoft Internet Explorer for as long as there's been an internet. Why would he be using Microsoft Edge? Okay. It's a safe, secure, modern web browser, and it's not from the folks at Microsoft per se. They did not build this from scratch. It's built on what's called the Chromium project. That's a free open source software project for a web browser called Chromium. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, is this Google Chrome? No. Google Chrome is Google's transmogrification of Chromium. So Google Chrome is built on the Chromium project, and Microsoft Edge is built on the Chromium project. So this is, it's got all the good things that a web browser should have. It's tailored to work well with the Mac, and the versions that are for the iPhone and the iPad, again, work very well. The reason why I have this on every machine that I use, it's very simple. Sometimes Safari will not interact with a website for security reasons. But if I still need to interact with it, I'll use Microsoft Edge. Now at this point you're probably saying, why not use Google Chrome? I don't like Google Chrome because they harvest too much information about what I'm doing. Okay. I don't use Firefox because Firefox also has upped their security, and sometimes they don't work with the website for the same reason that Safari does. So I reach into my toolbox, and now I pull out Microsoft Edge. So mileage may vary, but if you need to have another browser that's secure to contact your brokerage or your financial institution or do online shopping when Safari can't seem to do it, this would be my choice. Okay, moving right along. Calibre. It's free. It's from calibre-ebook.com. This is a multi-operating system application. In other words, there's a version that runs on Windows machines, there's a version that runs on Mac computers, there's a version that runs on Linux computers. What does it do? Well, you can probably tell from that it has something to do with books. It's a absolutely amazing ebook library manager. Okay, now, backstory. I can remember when my kids were little, they were going to Montessori school, and I came in for a parent-teacher conference. And my kids had been given the assignment walk through your parents' house. This is the typical Montessori type thing, get them to engage with the environment and look at the furniture. And what they were supposed to do was to come back and report what type of furniture was found the most in their parents' house. Okay, so I'm in the parent-teacher conference, and the one new teacher, she didn't know Carol Lee and I very well. Yeah, we were new to her. Said, your children came back and they all gave pretty much the same answer. And, I wasn't really clear. They said bookcases. They said you have over 30 bookcases in your house. And she says, I don't understand how that could be true. And I said, well, I think they might have missed a couple. So, you've got two information or knowledge workers, as Peter Drucker used to call them, and we had a lot of reference materials. We enjoyed reading. We had a lot of nonfiction. We had a lot of fiction, and we needed a place to store all that stuff. Well, fast forward, we've downsized a little bit. We don't have all of those physical books, but we have them in electronic form. So as doing preparation for this, I looked to see how large my Calibre nonfiction library is, and we're several thousand volumes there, and my fiction library is only about 2,000, 3,000 books. Okay, so how do you handle that kind of stuff? And by that I mean, how do you find the book without having to spend more time finding it than you would reading it? That's where Calibre comes in. It can view, convert, and catalog ebooks in most of the major ebook formats. So I've got something that I bought from Amazon. It's in a Mobi format. I don't want to have to pull out, a Kindle to read it. With Calibre, I can open that book and look at it on my Mac or my Windows computer or my, other. You name the format, it can open it. But it can also convert it. So sometimes you've got something and you can tell that it's not quite properly formatted. I can save it out as a PDF and then do whatever I want with it. It also talks to, here I put many, but it talks to most of the ebook readers. So Calibre is storing all of your books in its database, its library, and it can put copies of them on your mobile devices for when you want to read it and you're off somewhere else. It can also fetch metadata for your books. Okay, so you've got an ebook. There's metadata associated with it. The author's name, the title, who the publisher was, what's the ISBN number for the book, what category does the book fall into, cover art for the book, all those sorts of things. Well, sometimes you get one of these books and it doesn't have that information in the right places. Instead of having the title where the title is, it's got the author over there. And I'm sorry, but I'm over 70 years of age. I'm not going to waste my time moving data around in fields when I can get something to do it for me automatically. So with Calibre, I can bring that book up in the library and I can say, go look out on the OpenLib or Google or Amazon and collect the metadata for what you think this thing is and show me what choices I have. And then I click, and then it puts that information in. Appropriately done. Including the sort field, where if the author is David Drake, the sort field would be Drake, David. And it does it automatically. It saves me a lot of time and effort. The other thing I can do with Calibre is it's looking at the library, and I type in, I'm looking for a book that has the phrase in it, green dreams sleep furiously. Okay, and it will look at the contents of the books and show me which books have that in it. Now, you may say, well, that's sort of, how often is a book going to have that? What if I say, hey, I'm looking for books about woodworking, or I'm looking for books about Proxmox, which is a kind of server software, or what if I'm looking for books about Mac OS Ventura, and it'll come up with the list of books that I already have in my library. That saves me an unbelievable amount of time. Another feature it has that I've never really played with is it can download newspapers and turn them into ebooks for convenient reading. Yes?
Are you saying that it could download the whole Wall Street Journal?
As I said, I've never actually used it. I'm thinking that the restriction is probably if it's not behind a paywall. In other words, if you actually have access to it, yeah, I could do that. So it'd be not the website version of the Wall Street Journal, but rather the digital digital version of the Wall Street Journal, and then convert it into the format that you wanted. Again, this is another one of those software applications, programs, there we go. That's cross-platform. Cross-platform means there's a version that'll run on Macintosh computers, another one that works on Windows machines, and another one that works on Linux computers. Okay, so this one, I could spend a week doing presentations on all the features that are in Calibri. Okay, moving to the next one, and this is the last one of the group. This is a program called Picard from musicbrains.org. It's free, and its versions support Windows computers, Mac computers, and Linux computers. So, in the same way that our ebooks have metadata associated with them, music has metadata associated with it. The artist, the album artist, the cover art, what track it is on an album, what album it is the album got, like multiple CDs in it, what genre it is, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see, in my verbiage here, I've got metadata, album or track name, name of artist, record label, forgot that, year of issue, and of course your ASIN number, which is your audio serial information number, if I remember correctly, what it stands for. That would be if you were holding a CD and you flipped it over in the back, that's that barcode that's on the back that identifies that product. What MusicBrains does is you say, okay, here's a folder of music, and I know it's not tagged correctly because it's just track 1 through track 3, track 13. Drag that onto the window for MusicBrains. It goes to their database and looks to see if it can determine what it is. And if it can't do it from just a simple lookup of artist and whatever is in the tags, you can also press a scan button where it'll actually scan each music file for a digital fingerprint and compare that to digital fingerprints that they have on their database and fill in all that information and cover art for that music. Okay, so let me see where I am at time. Questions? We doing good? Okay, I've only... Yeah, thank you. I don't need to know where I am. Sorry, I was telling you where I was. Since it's only 11:14, if everyone's okay, I would like to maybe just quickly show you the actual programs in use. Okay, so I'm being really dare-worthy here. Normally I don't try and do live demos because I know how poorly they usually turn out for me. And let me just get this up. I don't need to do that. I got that up here. So I put these programs, aliases of these programs in a folder. So I'm going to just start out with the first one, App Cleaner. So that's the normal window for App Cleaner. It's just like that. And you can drag and drop an application into this target area, or you can click this little list view. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. And it'll show you what programs there are on your computer. And notice, most of these are grayed out because they're from Apple, so I can't remove those. But here we've got a program, it's called Deeper. And by clicking on it, it already came up that it's only got the one thing. And if I click the remove program, it would uninstall it from the computer.
Now that shows the extensions that are associated with that application.
If it's something that isn't from the App Store, yeah. Let me see if I've got one that's going to have more stuff on it. Yeah, let's see what SD card formatter only has the one thing now. Let's see if I got any Adobe. Do I have any Adobe apps? Let's try this one. Let's try LibreOffice. Now, okay, so LibreOffice has got the application in the application folder, and then I'm reading the small print in my user library in the application support folder. There's another thing called LibreOffice. So when I click to remove, it takes both of those out. So it's a clean uninstall. Okay, so quitting App Cleaner. Let's do Mac fan control. Okay, so here's Mac fan control opened up, and it tells me that on this MacBook Pro there's two fans, a left and a right fan, and currently I'm set to do automatic, and I can do a custom here. So let's do a custom. I'm going to say for the left fan, I want it to be sensored based, and I want it based on the average CPU core temperature. And the right fan, this MacBook Pro has an optical drive in it, so I can burn and read and write CDs. I'm going to say I want it to be sensored based, and I want it to look at the, let me get down here. Yeah, I want to be over there on the, excuse me, no, I don't want to install the update, thank you very much. I want it to focus on the graphic processor chip. So it's going to monitor those two different sensors inside, and it'll modify the fan rate to keep those things cool. So in other words, instead of me relying on the Mac operating system to check this stuff and keep things cool, I now have control over it. And as I said, newer operating systems on an older Mac, they forget that optical drives generate heat, or that this other stuff does. They're typically geared towards, you've got a solid state hard drive and there's no optical drives in the thing. So that was Mac fan control. Next one.
Is there an icon for it? In
Say it
the
again.
upper right hand, is there an icon that shows that it's running?
Yeah, they're up on my dashboard.
Yeah.
Excuse me, my menu bar. It's up there. I've got it hidden right now, but normally, yeah, it'll be up there and it'll be showing me what the actual temperature is. Normal people don't worry about that stuff that much, but if you're running servers that are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you want to monitor what's going on with their temperatures, because you don't want a server to burn off. That gets expensive. Next one, let's look at, let's see, I did App Cleaner. Let's do maintenance. This is the one from Titanium Software, and it wants me to put in an administrator password because it's going to be doing stuff on the computer. So here it's got verify the structure of system files, run maintenance scripts, launch, et cetera, et cetera. I've got it set for the defaults. To do all this maintenance, I just click one button where it says run tasks in the lower right-hand corner. And then it will do all the stuff it's supposed to do. I'm not going to do that right now because that would be a little intensive for it. And again, that's something that you do maybe once a year. So that was the maintenance program. Again, it's pretty drop-dead simple. The only thing I would ask is maybe they made the buttons bigger, but that's about it. Next one would be Mac Tracker. So I'm going to bring Mac Tracker up. This is the one that you can get from the App Store. And hello, come on. There we go. So this is the window. So we've got stuff broken up by this Mac. So if I click on this Mac, it tells me this is a MacBook Pro 15-inch mid-2010. And if I double click that, it'll give me all this stuff. What software can it run up? It can only go up to Mac OS 10.13.6. So High Sierra is as high as it can go. It was originally released with Snow Leopard. If I click over here in history, they say introduced in April 2010, and they, what its code name was and all the sorts of wonderful things about it. If I go back to the other window, I'm going to close this one out. Let's see if I click on desktops. Open that up. Apple. You want to know about the original Apple I, the Apple Lisa, the Apple 2GS, the Apple IIe Platinum? It's got all the specs for them. Classic Macintosh, everything from a Mac 128K all up to a Macintosh LC 580, eMac, iMac, Mac Mini, Mac Pro, Mac Studio, the Performas, the Power Macintoshes, and the Power Mac G3, G4s, and G5s. All of the notebooks, that's all the laptops, all the different servers they made, and in terms of devices, we've got everything from scanners, to phones, to printers, to Wi-Fi, the actual cards. It's got everything you could possibly know about a device. Okay, so that's your reference material. That's your encyclopedia of all things Apple. If I click on and launch my machine profile program, that's going to show me just what's going on with this machine. So it's saying this thing is, this Mac was manufactured November 2010. It's got the serial number, all of the graphics cards that are in it, the processors, and if I click on drive info, it'll tell me about all the hard drives or SSDs that are in it. And if I click on battery, it'll give me information about the battery on this thing, how many cycles, etc. So if I need to know something about a particular computer that's in front of me, this is what I use. And then I'd use App Cleaner to uninstall it. Moving right along, let's see. We did maintenance, we did machine profile, we did App Cleaner, we did Mac Fan Control, we did Music Brains, we did Mac Tracker. No, we didn't do Music Brains. Microsoft Edge. That's a web browser. And, here you go. It's a web browser. And it's going to come up. I've got it set to show me the current news feed. But you've got your search bar. It's a web browser. Does the same thing that Safari would do, or that Brave, or Google Chrome, or Firefox would do.
But if Safari declares a site that you want to go to as unsafe, why would you use another browser to get
Or that it doesn't like how it's configured. Their RSA keys are out of date. They haven't upped their stuff.
which would indicate a lack of security.
No, it would indicate that whoever was in charge of that particular data center, remember, when you're going to a website, it's not one computer, it's a whole room full of computers. And maybe the sysadmin didn't update the stuff on that one computer,
I see.
okay? Or maybe they just swapped it in and took something out and they haven't finished setting it up. But it's running as part of the herd.
Okay.
So it gives you another way to be able to look at that thing, and it's secure. And then moving on to the left, Calibre. This is the, I've got a small, very small Calibre library set up on this. So let's say we've got something like On the Trail of the Space Pirates by Kerry Rockwell. It's a Tom Corbett Space Cadet story. But I don't have the cover art for it, and I don't really have any of the other information about it. Well, what I can do is, it opened it in preview because it's a PDF. So if I go back to Calibre, I can click on that and say, let's edit the metadata, and let's put its title, instead of it being Tom Corbett 3, let's just put in On the Trail of the Space Pirates. Okay, and then I say, hey, let's download metadata. Go out and see if you can find it. And so it's going out there and it says, yeah, we got a couple of these. Okay, I happen to know that it's actually this one. And then let me move the zoom button out of the way and I click OK. It then goes out and looks for cover art. I pick which one I want. I click OK. And now, okay, and then I got to do one more OK, which is to close out this window. Now, when I click on it in my catalog file, over here on the right, it's showing me the cover art, it's showing me the authors, it's showing me the Amazon number, it's showing me a synopsis of it and what format it is, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and if I go up to my search up here, pretend, if you will, that instead of it being the 17 things that are there, it's a couple thousand things. And I type in Raspberry Pi. I'm looking for anything that would have in it about Raspberry Pi, and it comes up, it says, oh, here we got something here. Raspberry Pi for Secret Agents, and I can read that book and find it like that. Because as I said, you know, once you're over 60-something, you don't want to wait for anything. Okay, so that's Calibre. And then last but not least, I'm going to bring up Music Brains. I just want to quit a couple of the programs I got running here. Okay, so here we go. This is the, let me get my thing up here. No, I don't want to do that. Just move it over to the side. Okay, so this is the window for Music Brains. On the left is where you would drag and drop the music that you want to catalog. On the right would be the results of that. Well, I'm going to say, hey, you know, I want to add something here. I just so happen to have a folder of music in my download folder. If I can get it opened here. There we go. And, okay, so let me close that out. So over here I've got a folder. It's got some sort of music in it. I dragged it in and it grabbed it and it's already looked it up. And it's telling me that it's Johnny Mathis and it's from 2013. So it's gone out and it's looked up this stuff, and then if I say save, it actually puts that metadata into the original music files. Okay, now, so if I go back to my downloads folder and I go back to that folder of music, you'll notice it brought in a separate file with the picture of the album art. And I click on this other stuff, Command A, and it's like that, and I tell it to open it. Now this program, this MacBook Pro is running an older version of the operating system, so it has iTunes. Doesn't have the music app. So it's now bringing all that music into the iTunes library, which it's creating for the first time. This is why I don't like doing live demos.
Yeah.
Typically, if you know, it's like doing a live cooking show. You don't have the oven already heated.
Yeah.
It's gonna be,
There's the file.
and I said, here, cannot be found, yeah, create library. You can tell I don't normally put music on my production.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna tell it just to quit. But the idea is, it would come in and it would have the real title for every song, what track it is, how many tracks there were on that CD, and all the other good stuff.
Is there batch processing, or do you have to do it?
And I got processor lock. Thank you, iTunes. Force quit.
I'll get the idea. It's wonderful.
Okay, and again, you know, I've got a lot of music, and a lot of it is on CDs that predate when they would put the metadata into the files. And this is a way where, being anal and compulsive about getting everything just right, I can quickly put that information in and have it properly identified. Because when I'm selecting my Christmas music, let me tell you, I get serious. So, just to wrap it all up,
Can you batch process it?
pardon?
Can you batch process, or do you have to do it by?
You can batch process. I found that while I can do that, it's better to do it like album or collection at a time. So, you know, you'll get one of these, disco hits of the 1980s, and it's a 6 CD set, so you got 6 folders of things. Those I'll do all at once. But if I've got 120 gigabytes of songs, I'll feed them a little bit at a time. Because you start to find out that sometimes music that you thought was unique, a Music Brains database is going to think that it's very similar. So you'll get the correct song, but you'll get the wrong artist. Because, you know, I'm trying to think of the guy that's a Frank Sinatra knockoff. He sounds so much like Frank Sinatra that it thinks it's Frank Sinatra.
How does it deal with compilations? Does it know that it was a separate CD, not the album, original album, or?
It is very good with that. Where you run into problems is where you've got the same album that's been released in 12 different variations in different countries. In which case, what I do is when it's over there, it won't have the little gold disc. It'll indicate there's something not lining up. And I can go in and say, show me other versions. And then I can say, that's right. This CD's got 15 songs, but the one it came up with only had 13. So you select the appropriate one. But it's neat. It does a really good job. So with that said, are there any other questions? Okay, now, so the last thought I'm going to leave you with is, do you have something that's computer related, a computer chore that you seem to have to do over and over again, and it seems like it would be nice if there was some way to have the program automatically do it? So just sort of let that ferment in the back brain, and if you come up with something that is a potential issue in your life, you know, a problem, it would be better if you could automate it.
Yeah.
Let me know. I might be able to point you to a program that can help clean it up. unless it's audiobooks. I still have not found anything to manage my audiobook library. Okay,
Very nice.
does anybody have any other business they want to transact at this meeting? I'm looking once, looking twice. I'm going to say we're officially adjourned.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.